Hey, what's going on, everybody? Abe Diaz, the Data Strangler here. Today's video is going to be about my practice assessment that I had to do in order to earn the title of Microsoft Certified Trainer, or for short, known as MCT. I had to do a skills-based training course for instructors, basically train the trainer course, and then I was assessed. I had to give a 20-minute presentation on a tool of a Microsoft tool of my choice. Of course, I picked Power BI because it's my main thing. So the next video I'll be covering over four areas of Power BI that I did for the assessment. And the thing is, I had to do it in 20 minutes and leave about 10 minutes for questions. So the four areas I'm going to be covering are importing data, cleaning data, data modeling, and making visualizations. So hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming to today's half-day Power BI training. My name is Abe Diaz, and I will be your instructor for today. A little bit of information, background about myself. I have a total about 4 years experience in Power BI, with 2 years working as a government contractor delivering financial solutions and other non-financial solutions in Power BI in areas of security, HR, civilian labor, status of funds, a couple of the areas that I delivered reports on. I hold a couple certifications. I hold the PL300 Power BI certification, the AZ900 Azure Fundamentals, and the Ultrix Core Designer. In today's lesson, I will be covering four distinct areas of Power BI. I will be covering importing data, cleaning data, data modeling, and creating visualizations. By being here today, you'll gain the core basic skills of how to conduct analysis in Power BI, how to transfer your reports to Power BI, which you can immediately begin to use in your workspace with your own reports and data to deliver reports in a more timely manner and to get those stakeholders the ability to make decisions more quickly. In today's class, I'm going to I'm going to show you all how we can recreate a simple sales report just like this. It just has a title, some slicers, two KPI cards, a table, and two visualizations. But before we create something like this, first we need to import the data starting from a fresh and blank Power BI. I'm going to give a quick overview of the Power BI UI. So here we have our different tabs, our home, our insert, where we can insert different visuals. You'll notice you can kind of do the same things in a couple different places. You can insert visuals here or from here. The modeling tab, where we can create our parameters, we can create new tables, new measures. Our view tabs, where we can adjust our themes, our panes manager, mobile layouts, our page view. Optimize to do any testing to see how well our report is running, and our help page that has different help icons that you can do. Here on the right side, this is our data pane where data will appear once we have it. This is our builder visualization pane. When we have a visualization here, we'll be able to format. This is our bookmarks pane and our selection pane, which kind of won't go over today. Here on the left side, right here, we currently see the reports view. This is where you build your visuals. And here, this is the table view where you'll be able to see any data you have in Power BI. Similar to an Excel, you can filter, slice the data from here. It won't have an effect of the underlying data source. This is your model tab where you'll be able to build your data model. And these last two views are the DAX query view and the Tyndall view. These are out of the scope of the course today, but to talk about really quickly, DAX query view allows you to build measures in a more efficient and mass way, and the Tyndall view allows you to edit the semantic model in your model as a whole in various different type of ways, whether it's tables, descriptions, so on and so forth. Like I said, out of the scope of the course today, but I definitely encourage you to utilize and learn about these as you gain more experience in your Power BI. So our first step is to get data into Power BI. You can get data from a variety of different sources: files, semantic models, data flows, Dataverse, SQL Server. text CSV files, the web. You can use blank queries. So I'm just going to go here, click data and more. And here you have all the different types of data sources that your data could live in. SharePoint folders, SQL database, other sorts of databases, from files, Microsoft Fabric, Power Platform, Azure. I'd say there's hundreds, I'd say maybe 1,000 or so different connectors that you can connect to Power BI. I would just say a lot, not to put a number on it. So depending on where your data is, you'll be able to connect to it. But for us today in this course, we're going to keep it simple and we're going to connect to a text CSV file. So you can either go here to all, click it right here. I'm just going to go to file, text CSV, navigate to where my data is. It's going to be this dirty underscore data. I'm going to click it. It's going to connect. And then here is the Power Query preview window. So if you load the data, it will go right here to the data pane, but we're always most likely going to need to transform our data in some way. So I'm going to click transform data, which will open Power Query. And here Power Query is open and we're going to be ready to clean and do transformation. Now we have our data in Power Query and we're going to begin cleaning the data. But first, real quick, I'm going to do a run through of the Power Query UI. So here's your home tab where you have several different operations that you can do. You can bring in a new query from a completely different data source. You can enter data manually. You can refresh. You can manage or add parameters, manage columns, remove rows, do different transformations, combine and merge queries. You can transform the columns, either transpose, reverse, count your rows, do any text transformation, numbers, date and time, run R and Python scripts if need to. You can add different sorts of columns, either from example, conditional, invoke custom columns. You can have an index column. You can do some more transformations for your text. Same thing for date and time. You can view your column quantity, letting you know of how many blanks you have, your column profile, what's all the different column statistics you have, and the distribution of your column, letting you know how many distinct and unique values you have. So the first thing that we're going to do here is I like to look at the data to see how many rows I have. Oops, not working. Yep. See how many rows I have, drag it to the right. Not a lot of data set, very small for this example here. So the first thing I know I need to do is push these column headers up. So I use first rows as headers. And if you see here the applied steps, all the transformations that we do in Power Query gets recorded here in M code, which is the language behind Power Query. It stands for mashup code. So any transformations we do here will be recorded in code. So I promoted the headers here. Now let's look at the next thing I need to do. The next thing is look at your data types. You have to make sure your data types are correct because, for example, we see the age here as a text field. If we needed to do some sort of math on the age column, we won't be able to because it is listed as a text. So Power Query, if you don't remember to automatically turn off data types, like I always forget to do, you can turn that off in the option settings. But here, we're just going to go here and put this as a whole number. So then it shifts to the right. Then here, text is okay as a zip code because you'll never do any sort of math on a zip code field or similar type fields. Then for some reason it's not playing nice today with scrolling. Then we're going to look at our number field. So you can either right click here, change type and quantity. This is going to be a whole number. Or you can click here on the ABC, fixed decimal type. This is a price, so it's going to have the dollar sign and add the decimals. And we'll go here, right click, change this to date. So it looks like we got all of our data types changed, and now let's look at replacing values. So here we see New York is blank. This example is very simple to replace values, but I would definitely, if you have larger data, you definitely need to make sure and be careful that when you replace values like this, you're not going to mess anything up. But for this example, this is okay. I'm going to go to right click, replace values. That window is going to pop up. I'm going to find blank and I'm going to replace it with NY. Beautiful. Then the next thing we're going to do is get our total sales column. So I'm going to go to add column. I'm going to hold control on quantity. I'm going to hold control on price. And for some reason it didn't pop up. I may have to do it again. So quantity, price. I'm going to go to standard. I'm going to multiply. It's going to automatically move it here. And we have our multiplication column for total sales. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to put total sales, renaming the column. Now the next thing we're going to do is add a conditional column, basically grouping our sales into different buckets. So I'm going to go here, conditional column. I'm going to rename this to order size. Then I'm going to say if total sales is less than 250, I'm going to put small. I'm going to add another clause. Else if total sales is less than or equal to 500, I'm going to put medium. I'm going to do one more. If total sales is less than or equal to 750, I'm going to put large. And then the final thing, I'm going to put else. If it's if it's greater than 750, the else is going to be X large. Put that right here. Click OK. And now we'll be able to see. And then let's change this to a text type. So now we finished cleaning our data. We changed our data types. We replaced values. We promoted headers. We did all the things to make our data useful. Now we'll be able to begin the next stage, which will be cleaning data. Or I'm sorry, data modeling. So now we're going to begin the data modeling piece. And data modeling is important because we're going to separate our fact table, which is going to be the many side of our data model for our star schema, from our dimensions. So you could think of it as your fact table has all of our business events, and then the dimension tables or dim tables have the descriptions for all of our events. So the first thing I always like to do is I just like to name this fact. You can name it underscore, dot, whatever you want. And now the next thing I'm going to do is start planning out my dimension table. So I'm just going to have two quick dimension tables. I'm going to reference this first fact table. And the difference between reference and duplicate is if you just duplicate, it's just going to copy all of this. And any changes you do to the fact table won't flow down to the dimension table. But if I reference like this, any changes I do to the fact table will flow down to the dimension table. So I'm going to rename this to dim underscore city. I am going to right click my city column, remove other columns, and then remove duplicates. I'm going to reference my fact table again. I'm going to say dim product. This is going to be my product table. Then I'm going to my product column. I'm going to do the same thing. Right click, remove other columns, right click again, and remove duplicates. So now we started the process of setting up our data model. The next thing we're going to do is close and apply and send it back to Power BI. It's going to take a second to load. Be pretty quick. It's a very small data set. And load right now. Awesome. So now I'm going to go to my, as you see here, here's all of our data in our data pane right here. Then I'm going to go to my model tab and I'm going to begin creating my star schema. Now, why is it called a star schema? Because it usually represents a star. If I had two more um, dimension tables right here, I can add them right here. So to begin, I'm just going to drag my city from my dim table to my fact table. And you'll see it's a one relationship, one to many relationship flowing from my dim city, flowing from the dim city to the fact table. And this is what we'll use for our filters. This relationship will be active. It's going one way. Then I'm going to create the next relationship. You can go to here. You can click new relationship. I'm going to do it from my product. Select this to my fact dirty data. It's going to pick up product. Press save. Close this. And now we have completed our data modeling section and we can begin with building visualizations. So we completed our first three steps, which is importing data, cleaning data, again, data modeling. And now the next step is to build our visualizations. I'm gonna look at the side to get our example pulled up. So now the first thing we need to do before we build our visualizations is build a measures table. Now, as we see here, these are implicit measures, basically just the column that's in our data, which it's totally fine to use, but it's always best to use explicit measures where you're explicitly writing the DAX code because you may need to use those measures in the future for other measures. So how to create a measures table? There's several different ways, but I've been liking this way right here. I'm going to go to modeling. I'm going to go to new table. I'm going to put underscore measures equals 1. Press enter. It's going to put a measures table right here. Now I'm going to build out my first two measures, which is going to be average sales and totals, a sum of total sales. So I'm going to go right here, new measures. I'm going to put total sales equals sum. And where's that column? I'm going to go down here. I'm just going to type in total sales. And as you'll see, it's exactly the same. Just one's implicit and one's explicit. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but for average sales. So I'm going to go just type in AVG sales equals total sales. Oops, sorry. I'm going to go to my dirty data. Yep, it's not popping my fact dirty data. It's not popping up for me. Average sales. Oh, because I have to type in average. Duh. I'm going to go down here. And then we have our average sales. I always like to hide this value. So got our two measures here. Now we're going to start crafting our example page here. So I'm just going to kind of rapid fire this. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to insert, text box. Oh, first thing I forgot to do, just so I can see a little bit of everything, I'm going to slightly change the color here so I can kind of see everything a little bit better. So I'm going to type in sales report for my title. If you hit the emoji, if you hit the Windows key and the column and the uh, column icon or button here, you can select emojis and put them in your report. I'm going to select this. I'm going to put it to the middle and I'm going to put that up to 40 and it should be good now. Then I'm going to start building out, adding my visuals here. So you can add it from here, this side. I'm going to add that table visual right here. stretch that out, and then I'm going to start dropping my values here. So you can either drag it directly into the visual, or you can drag it right here. You can go add data right here, and then the next thing we need to add is our product. And we'll just throw in quantity and our sales. Beautiful. Awesome. And I'm going to make that a little bit bigger, adjust this, and let's just put total sales as well. Excellent. So I'm going to size this a little bit. And the thing I don't like about tables, and I'm sure others in Power BI as well, is that tables don't automatically fit like in Excel. So the next thing I'm going to do is add my slicers. I'm going to insert from here, hit this drop down. Then I'm going to find my slicer. You can select it from here. So not to do this process 3 different times, I'm just going to go here, Control C, Control V, Control V. I'm going to add my slicers, and I'm just going to start adding them. The ones I'm going to add is city. Then I'm going to add my product from my product table. Excuse me. And the next thing I'm going to add is my order size. So I don't want these all as drop down like this. So I'm going to go here, select all 3 slicers from vertical list, put it as a drop down. And let me just adjust the size to this. I can look at the size and properties, 112, 176. I'll select these, 176. And then I'll select all 3, hitting the shift key. Then I'll format, line top, and distribute horizontally. Now, the next thing I'm going to add is my KPIs. So I'm going to go here to the KPI, which one is it? Here we go. I'm going to add that here, make that a little bigger. Control C, Control V. I'm going to drop my total sales right there. I'm going to drop average sales right there. It's aligned pretty good. Let's drop the height a bit to make some space for our bottom visualizations. That's good. Move that up a bit. Now the next thing I'm going to add is my 2 visualizations. So I'm going to add with my custom column chart. I'm going to add it right here. And what I'm going to add to the custom column chart is going to put the product in the x-axis. I'm going to put total sales in the y-axis. And then last visual I'm going to add is my line chart. I'm going to add it right here. I'm going to put average sales here. Doesn't matter what order you put it in. And then I'm going to put my date column, which will go right here. Now the next thing I like to do is when I'm building visuals is kind of clean things up a little bit. So I'm going to get rid of the access titles. I'm going to go here. I'm going to get rid of grid lines, horizontal grid lines. I'm going to add data labels. Then I'm just going to select this visual, go to home, and it's going to paste the format. Didn't do it exactly for the grid lines for the line chart, so I'm going to get rid of the vertical. And here we go. This is a pretty much replica of our example report that I showed earlier. So I'm going to recap a couple things that we did. We imported data into Power BI. We cleaned it. We data modeled it, or we used data modeling, and then we built out some measures and some visualizations. So with these 4 core components of Power BI, you'll be able to take these and use them in your own workspaces to build out reports immediately. So that's going to cover today's training session. Thank you all for coming. And if you have any questions, now's the time. Thanks. Have a good day. All right, and that sums it up for my assessment that I had to do to attain the Microsoft Certified Trainer certification. Pretty not, I want to say it's like simple. Giving training to random people can always be, a little bit nerve wracking. But I made sure to just practice every day my script, my data set, the motions that I was doing to be able to successfully deliver and earn that certification. So hope you enjoyed the quick walkthrough of Power BI. And if you have any questions about my process or how I do anything, please reach out. See you next time, everyone. Have a good day.